This just in, breaking news, our top story tonight. Recent high-stakes poker live stream was a disaster, with many people taking to the internet to claim it was totally unwatchable. While that is a good point, the other side of the coin would be hundreds of thousands of people watched it. Up next, Phil Hellmuth makes a trip to the Hustler for some high-stakes poker. Does Phil book a win, or is this another session in LA where he's hitting the rail? Hold on, stop the music. I only want to cover those two stories today. Let's jump in and talk about the Phil Hellmuth Hustler stream first, because I have a lot more I want to say about the poker game that we saw on Poker Go the other night. But I do want to talk about Hellmuth playing on the Hustler stream yesterday. Now, Phil Hellmuth plays on a lot of different poker streams, and we've certainly seen him have some memorable exits. But once again, he played on the Hustler show, lost money, and left during the session. Now, look, it is certainly standard where if you have a bad run, you lose a lot of money, you're going to leave the show. But that isn't entirely what happened here. Phil only lost about $40,000 on this show. Let's take a look at the hands that sent Phil Hellmuth packing. The first big pot Phil Hellmuth played, looked down at the old ace-9 of clubs, opened it up here, under the gun +3, action folds around to airball, pocket queens, decides a 3-bet with Mike X calling in between. By the way, airball, playing every show, non-stop. This guy loves himself some poker. I think he took an Uber back to LA after the Poker Go session. He always Ubers to and from LA. Some dedication. Anyway, Phil decides just to rip it with ace-9 of clubs. This is a pretty non-Phil Hellmuth play. Normally, he's good at getting away from spots, waiting for the value bets. But here, he just rips it in. And the players do have some stuff to talk about.
Because he moves all in.
You're the best, Phil.
Whatever you want, Phil.
2 times?
Good luck, buddy.
And it's Airball's reputation.
I feel like I'm going to hit the first one.
I feel like you're scooping.
They run it twice. Phil loses both runs, and then he rebuys for $20,000. That brings us to our next hand. Now on a $24,000 stack, Phil looks down at pocket jacks, facing action from Jungle Man opening up the King 6 suited, and Mike X going for a 3-bet. I think in this spot for Phil, you really want to just be jamming your jacks. I don't think you have the stack where you can just cold call. You kind of got to decide if you're good enough pre-flop or not. And I could really see this one going either way. I'd probably lean towards jam, but given that Mike X 3-bet, it could be kind of reasonable to let this hand go. I do think out of position, you're not going to be cold calling many 3-bets though. So I think you got to decide, am I taking a stand for all of it, or am I just throwing this one into the muck? Phil does decide to call. Now the action back on the other players. Jungle Man calls, and Mike X being the 3-better, of course, does not get an option, and they take a flop 3 ways. The flop comes King 6-5. An interesting board here. No flush draw available, but a king now will beat Phil Hellmuth's jacks. Jungle Man has a very sneaky disguised 2-pair. The action checks around to Mike X. He bets $4,400 on the flop. Definitely standard to continue bluffing here with the backdoor nut flush draw on a king high board. Now, Phil Hellmuth with pocket jacks calls once again. You can see how this is already getting difficult here for your pocket jacks out of position. And now Jungle Man decides to bump it up, making it about $15,000 to go. Once again, Phil Hellmuth now has to decide, are jacks good? But now Jungle Man is representing a much stronger range. Phil talks it over, but ultimately, he just can't get away.
Hellmuth's been in the tank for a while now.
I just don't believe you, Jungle. All right.
I just don't believe you. I just don't believe you, and unfortunately for Phil Hellmuth, he is drawing dead to 2 outs.
All right, 2 times.
Ugh.
Before we look at these runouts, that's a pretty sweet outfit from Jungle Man. The Jungle Man. By the way, Jungle will be at the Lodge next weekend for some more high-stakes poker. But, yeah, that's a sweet shirt. No shades, baby.
Only a jack will save Phil Hellmuth now. Otherwise, his second buy-in will be gone as well. And that is not a jack, my friends, 9 of diamonds.
Phil, you're a bro. Fair, man. Fuck. This is not much fun.
After losing both runs with pocket jacks versus Jungle Man's 2-pair, Phil Hellmuth hits the rail for a post-game interview.
It's about as bad as I could play poker. Wait a minute, I was unlucky. No, I put in 30,000 with ace-9 of clubs against queens. Just a really bad play, just so unlike me. And then I put in 20,000 after king 6-5 with jacks. So I played both those hands just horribly. I'm super tired. I've been on the road 3 weeks, and I could stay and fight, or I think I'm just going to go home. 13 days off. I can catch the Warriors game. Lost 40K, 100% my fault. Oh, and by the way, I guess I'm going to get known for leaving streams early.
You know, guys, we definitely have our fair share of Hellmuth moments. In fact, in our Freakouts video, we covered quite a lot of them yesterday. But I think this is one of the most well-measured losing sessions I've seen from Phil. Phil is not someone that quits games early, and he's definitely an entertaining player to have at the table. But in this particular instance and in these LA streams, he has been getting stacked a lot and wanting to leave. Also, Phil is an avid Warriors fan, and there was an important game that some of us missed last night having to play on poker show. Anyway, the point is, Phil had other things he wanted to do, and he was pretty reasonable about this, and for once was willing to admit that he had made some mistakes. This was a classy day from Phil Hellmuth. My respect, Phil. My respect. I also have a quick announcement I want to make here. Ryan Feldman and Nick Vertucci are going to come on my podcast Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central Time to make a big announcement of a new guest they've gotten for their $1 million cash game. We have some other players that might be playing. We're going to talk about all of them. I asked them for names, but they did not say because they want it to be a surprise. So if you want to tune in Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central Time, I will have the owners of Hustler Casino Live on the show, and we're going to be talking about their $1 million game. All right, let's get into talking about this high-stakes poker stream from the other day because it is just all over social media. People talking about what happened, talking about was it watchable or was it totally unwatchable, with many people on Twitter saying it's totally unwatchable. And I'm going to tell you guys something here. I played at the table, obviously, and after the show, I had not really been on my phone or checked social media in many hours. When I play poker shows, I tend to try and stay off my phone and just be in the moment with the table to enjoy the game and enjoy the company of the other players. So when it wrapped up, I thought to myself, yes, Airball was very drunk and annoying at points. But overall, I thought, man, what a great stream. That's going to be really awesome content that people enjoyed. And then I went on Twitter, and it turned out that every single person hated it. All of them that are on Twitter. There were many comments. High stakes cackling. This is totally unwatchable. I don't know how anyone could be watching this. This is horrendous. I'm tuning out. I can't stand this. I turn it off immediately. This is an embarrassment for poker. What happened to high stakes poker? Who are these idiots? Drunk Airball is annoying. These guys are terrible. And as I was reading the comments online, I thought, man, maybe people didn't watch this. But the thing is, they did. On YouTube, this show did over 250,000 views. But there is an important caveat there. This show was also streamed on their live platform or on their PokerGo platform. And I believe they also might have streamed it on Twitch as well. So there were many places people could consume this, and the views were more split up. It's pretty safe to say that at least a few 100,000 people watched the show. It could really be 400 or 500K or more, depending on what their metrics were like across all of those things. That puts it in the vicinity of one of the most watched live stream cash games of all time. In fact, if you look at PokerGo's library of videos, they have many tournament final tables that have more views. That's for sure, and it makes sense because people do like to see who wins a tournament. But if you look at cash games, there are not a lot of videos that have more views than this, and certainly when you consider it's only been up for a couple of days, this thing is doing really well. There was one cash game, though, that did get almost 4 million views. That one does look pretty interesting. So it's clear the show was at least somewhat watchable, or there wouldn't have been tens of thousands of people watching live. But what exactly was it that really upset people on social media where they were complaining so much about this game that was being run for free? Let's dive into that. One of the big complaints was that there was way too much cackling going on. You might think cackling, but the thing is you probably saw, so you already know who was cackling. It wasn't just Nik, though, that was very loud in the mic. Lynn also had her fair share of moments. And then there was another player that certainly was a bit louder than people might have wanted. Oh, so I'm gonna get made fun for 2 patches, and he's wearing no sleeves.
You were talking about wearing no sleeves? The guy who had no sleeves for a decade? You had a decade with no sleeves.
I took shit every fucking time. I can certainly see where people are coming from, that these loud outbursts onto their microphones are fairly annoying for people to be watching, because the audio volume will randomly spike huge and then your eardrums get blown out. Now, I think overall PokerGo did a reasonable job with this. And one thing to think about at home is when you have a poker show, people normally talk at a regular volume and then they'll occasionally have outbursts. Because of that, it's difficult to always pick the exact volume level. So maybe Airball, when he's talking normally, is fine, and then boom, has an outburst and it's too loud. Maybe there's some kind of noise gate you could put where if a certain mic hits a certain threshold, it just kind of caps it at a certain decibel level. I'm not a tech guy, I don't really know, but that could be something that could mitigate how bad some of these moments were. Although again, I actually do think overall PokerGo did a fairly good job of handling this. Remember also, when you watch this PokerGo high stakes poker stream, we're used to seeing high stakes poker in its recorded format, aka they'd take an episode, they'd chop it up, and you would see the best 30 minutes or 60 minutes in a given session. Well, that's not what's happening anymore. You see every hand, there's no polish, there's no edit, it's just boom, you're going live with the PokerGo high stakes poker show, and now they have to do the best with what they have. So we need to lower the bar a little bit compared to, for example, classic high stakes poker. This is not getting edited. This is not commentary and post-production. This is not getting cleaned up. This is just simply poker as it's happening with these characters. I'll also say, running a stream myself, Nik Airball is a good stress test for your audio system. We had him come down to the lodge. Think of it like those crash tests where they have dummies in cars and they smash into the wall. Let's just say we didn't have our airbags fully deployed, and when you have Nik Airball play, you're going to learn what's wrong with your vehicle. Another complaint people had was that Nik Airball was rude to a dealer. Let's go ahead and look at the clip.
Life is good.
Oh, here we go.
Whoa. Give me all the chips.
Oh.
I'll pay.
Yeah, I patented that.
Oh.
Can't say that.
Rob.
I'll take it all.
The fuck? That's not the pot.
The heads up match.
Let the fireworks begin, Airball.
I think he's going to want all
Okay,
your
don't scare the dealer here.
With the
They're coming.
first strike. Connects with a haymaker. Berkey's
have
not
to
going
give
anywhere,
away your
though.
chips?
He's going to reload.
You have to give people your chips. That's an absolute rule.
I want
You have to give him your chips.
That's an absolute rule.
You have to give him the chips.
I can't wait to
That's
read
Wow.
it.
His chips.
Your
my
chips.
chips, motherfucker.
Wow.
Oh,
Welcome to
boy.
Live Stream 2023.
Keep playing.
While I think Nik didn't mean for this to come off as douchey and aggressive as it sounds, when you say what the fuck to a dealer, it is a little bit rude, and I would certainly stay away from saying that to staff members. However, I do think that Nik wasn't trying to insult the dealer, but was rather trying to say, hey, give me all of Berkey's chips. Either way, he could have handled that better, and I don't think that you should talk to dealers in that way. Putting that remark to the side for a moment, a one-sentence response to a dealer should not be what defines a 7-hour stream when we're talking about watchability. So what were the other complaints? Another complaint people had was all of the 4 versus 1 talk, that there were people ganging up on a player. And I've got to talk about that for a moment. It is not acceptable how everyone ganged up on one player. They grouped together and they locked in and they wouldn't let go. And it was just downright disgusting. Poor guy didn't even do anything wrong. I'm talking about me.
Good job you invited Doug, because we would have forgot to tip the dealers at the end.
And you know what? Rob wouldn't even know it's his turn to play yet. We've been 10 hands back.
Bring this guy again. He's very helpful as operational support. Right.
If you're paying him to be here as like a dealer, we need to know.
I'm interested in crypto. I have all altcoins. I have lots of coins.
Can you invest in CoinFlex? Because, you know, I would like
Oh my God.
This might be the right time.
Ask Doug. He can advise you. I don't want any players telling me how to play poker.
It's like
Dealer and you, I
my
respect.
house.
But the guy with 2 patches on, I'm not respecting.
Not cool, PokerGo. Balance out those lineups a bit. It was just over the line. There were a myriad of other smaller issues that people had, like the conversation not being about the game itself, people acting different in person than online, people being rude or childish, and mainly a lot of distaste for Airball and Lynn, with a chunk of people also feeling like Berkey was boring and quiet. Look, guys, let's talk about streams for a moment. Poker streaming isn't perfect. You might think about high-budget HBO shows that pour millions of dollars for the perfect scene, for the perfect clip, costumes, designers, makeup artists. hundreds of staff members, super high-end cameras, editing rooms that go through scene after scene, months and months spent to perfectly craft down into one awesome clip for you to enjoy. Poker streaming is not like that. Poker streaming isn't rounders, where scenes were shot and reshot and made to be perfect. Poker streaming isn't even high-stakes poker, where episodes crafted to create storylines with the biggest pots and the most interesting talk. Real poker is not like that. Real poker has some drunk guy cackling at his own jokes. Real poker has players that you think may be on substances that you're not sure about. Real poker has quiet players. Real poker has more well-known players. Real poker has people buying in deep and people buying in short and people talking about random nonsense that happen to them every day. Real poker can be annoying. Real poker can be fun. Real poker has moments where you play big pots that people focus on, but real poker also has many moments that don't. The thing is, I think what happened last night, and I've seen this in articles and comments around the internet, is that we captured what real poker is like, because the reality is this is a 7-hour stream where you see every moment. You're going to see everyone's best moments, and you're also going to see their worst moments. Zooming out for a second, you got to watch 7 hours of high-stakes poker with every player sitting with at least 6 figures as they duked it out, drank, gambled, shot the shit, needled each other, and interacted. And you got to see that totally unfiltered from one of the best production poker studios in the entire world. Yes, there was a lot of drama with this lineup. Airball and Berkey battling it out heads up every weekend. Berkey and myself battling it out on the internet. Lynn dating Berkey and going on Twitter Spaces to talk about their relationship. Persson calling out Berkey all of the time. This lineup had a lot of people with interactions and drama, and that helped build the storyline, because guess what? These people don't like each other. And that's okay. It's all right that this wasn't perfect. It's all right that these people don't like each other. It's all right that there wasn't a fight. It's all right that shit didn't go crazy. But the thing is, it could have. And part of the reason why people tune in for some of these things that get more onto the side of a train wreck than a polished production show is because of the chance of the impossible, the chance of drama, the chance of outbreaks and real moments from people that don't like each other in a natural poker setting. That's the direction poker is headed. There is a reason why Real Housewives of Insert X City here is a very popular show. I don't get it, but I'm probably not their target demo.
This is just a game of wits and wagers, and quite frankly, though half the table may have it in for me, I only respect one of them as a poker player.
As for Berkey and myself, look, I don't hate Berkey. I've, of course, made fun of him a lot on this channel, and I do have some serious concerns about his overall ability to sell poker coaching, but the reality is I do not think that Matt is a scammer or a bad person. I just don't agree with a lot of the things that he does and says. But I do think we made some significant strides the other day. We talked about all kinds of things. Things you'd only talk about with people where you're putting it behind you. Baby steps, but steps made nonetheless, which is why Berkey took to Twitter and had this to say. TJ said, "So I fell a little short of best friend tags, but you and Doug bonding over whoop and sauna timing qualifies as friends to me." To which Berkey responded, "Doug and I have come a long way. At this point, we have our disagreements, but we can put that behind and continue on as men in the same space." Oh, wait, hold on. That's not what he said. He said, "I assure you that wasn't bonding. I loathe him as a human, and some bullshitty small talk to cut the tension didn't change that."
Fuck you, Fab. Fuck you. I thought we were friends.
Might still be progress, actually. Berkey had a bit of a strange tweet on this one. "I don't know what tonight's viewing experience was like, but from my POV, it was not as advertised. I left feeling extremely underwhelmed both in gameplay and authenticity. Rob Yong deserves an award for salvaging an otherwise all bark, no bite cast of characters." Kind of a weird statement to me from the player that contributed by far the least to the stream in terms of both their action and their conversation. But it does drive us back to the main point. Some people like to sit in their one-story ivory towers and look down upon the rest of us who are watching things that they enjoy. The reality is that this type of content is popular and people really enjoyed it. Yes, there were audio issues for sure, and certainly there are ways that the stream can improve. But I think maybe, just maybe, taking a step back and looking at something like this and thinking, this is great for the game. This is great for poker. We are building something people can watch that will bring in people to our game to enjoy watching poker content. That's what I do here. And that's what people are interested in. So as long as there are going to be shows like this, I'd love to play on them. And I really hope we can continue to have things like this happen so that players at home have things to enjoy that bring you poker as what it actually is and not what people think it should be. On that note, we have a 200-400 game running at the Lodge right now. I'll put a link in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you over there. I'm going to be playing. Hopefully we minimize the cackling.